If more of you supported the show, I'd be less sick of podcasts.
Blah, blah, blah.
Sending out good vibes.
Blah, blah, blah.
Good vibes. Good vibes. Good vibes. Good vibes.
108 breaths of deep gratitude and prayers for guidance and protection. And put on a didgeridoo and shamanic drumming track. Shivers or vibrations and stuff like that.
Grimerica.
You know, and this is why I don't drink and, stuff like that. I just kind of let them know on a human being level, that these are the choices that I make, and I always, try to inspire that, anybody in the crowd that might be struggling or, whatever.
Okay, guys, welcome back to the Grimerica show. Another little bonus set for you guys. You're welcome. We're going to be talking with Supaman again, Christian Parish. Christian Takes a Gun. Everyone, I think the original episode was episode 137.
Christian Takes a Gun? What?
That's his real name, yeah.
Oh,
his given name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, if you haven't heard episode 137, you might want to jump back to that and take a listen to that before you jump into this one, because we do kind of pick up where we left off in a lot of ways. And if you haven't heard any of his music, maybe before we jump into this, you might just want to go and listen to a song or two. He's definitely a role model of mine, and my kids love his music, and definitely comes at hip-hop from a different angle than I grew up with anyway.
He's a role model for a lot of people. I mean, he's really
That's right.
helping the community as well.
Absolutely. And that, of course, over there is Graham, I Chew My Fingernails Dunlop.
Yeah.
How's it going, buddy?
Back on it.
You're back on the nail chewing?
I relapsed on the nail chewing.
Have you been trying to quit?
Well, I did for years.
Did you?
Yeah.
I've been, you know what? I didn't chew my nails up until a couple of years ago, too.
I did for years, yeah.
Now
they're back.
The worst the worst is when you, holy fuck, everything is making noises. Ooh, that's Thomas Campbell's email. Perfect. We can finally get Tom Campbell on the show.
All right.
Justin doesn't have to phone him. Yeah, no, Superman's great. Real life superhero.
And lots has happened since the last episode with him. I mean, he's doing videos with a bunch of people and music with a bunch of people, and
that's right.
Getting awards, all kinds of stuff.
Oh, we gotta shit. I'm gonna have to re-listen to the last minute or two when he mentioned which song he wanted us to play it out with.
That's right.
Yeah. I'll play it out, and of course, I'll probably throw Y in here somewhere throughout, because that was my favorite. I'm gonna throw probably 2 songs at the end of this episode, so this one won't have your classic Felix outro.
Could be Godly Warriors, I think, or is that his album? That's his album, I think. Illuminatives
is the album, yeah. Yeah,
Godly
great.
Warriors is the song.
It's great stuff. I highly recommend you guys take a listen to his music if you haven't. What's new with you?
Oh, not much. Yeah, just biting my nails.
Chewing your nails?
Chewing my nails.
Chewing your nails down to nubs?
Yeah, look. I mean, they used to be really bad when I was a kid. Really bad.
Yeah, the reason I didn't even notice, actually, it was someone noticed during a live stream that you were chewing your nails during the episode.
Yeah. That's nice, eh? That's good video.
That's good feedback. Yeah, you're chewing your nails. Well, I was thinking maybe that would be good for you.
Yeah, maybe.
It'd be like we watch each other.
Maybe that's why I'm chewing them.
Maybe. But we're pretty good at watching each other's
idiosyncrasies.
Yeah. So maybe people accusing you of chewing your nails will straighten you out.
Maybe, or just make me more nervous.
Worse. You start chewing your actual fingertips.
Oh,
bubble gum?
Fidget spinner. Oh my God.
So bubble gum. We got to get Brody talking to the mic, because I just noticed like the last intro, you can't hear Brody at all.
Yeah, we should have a mic.
He had one there, but I haven't hooked it back up yet. But I noticed last intro, whenever Brody starts talking, you just can't hear nothing, and it sounds like we're just talking to God. Maybe we are.
Maybe Brody is God.
So what do you got, buddy? I'd like to.
Well, I forgot last intro. If people have heard it, we got an unknown CD in the mail, and I went and popped it into my computer, and then I
forgot about it.
I've never put one in the Mac before, so
never put one in Mac.
And then
before?
and then last night we were on some other podcast, and I heard a bunch of vibrations in my computer. I'm like, what is going on? So just click on the disc thing here, and we'll just see what that is. It's probably a something creating a bunch of. Oh, that's weird. Oh, what about that? Oh boy. So I'm just.
It is firing up. Oh, this third mic is nice.
Oh, it's looks like. Oh, that's that.
Or we find out if it's a crazy snuff film. What if it is?
What if it's video of the car crashing into your garage?
Whoa.
There's no address or name or anything, right?
No.
It's going to take a while to convert, so maybe you can just walk over to the other side of the studio and we'll keep going until this thing converts.
I don't care about that.
I know, it could be just
someone sent it
crashing the computer completely.
Could you imagine? Well, it's time for a new one anyway. If your computer still can put a disk in it, it's time for a new one, I would argue. But why don't we just jump right into this?
Darren and Graham going deep.
Before your computer bricks.
It's a profound UFO quote of the week. Words to ponder and critique. It's a profound UFO quote of the week.
I love it. I got so many of these quotes, I can pick appropriate ones. Like this is actually an appropriate UFO quote for this sort of, more mainstream episode with Supaman. They came over so regularly we could time them. Sometimes they stood still. Other times they moved so fast it was hard to keep a steady eye on them. That was from David Bowie.
Really? David Bowie?
David Bowie.
Why didn't you have that on when he died?
Did he die? No, just kidding. Yeah, I should have, I guess. Yeah.
I had to tell Lisa that Avicii died the other day. She didn't know.
Who?
Avicii. You don't know who Avicii is? Yeah, he's real.
I saw it.
He was fucking good too, man.
He was bringing out some stuff about the pedophiles, I heard.
I don't know.
Sex trafficking. And then he died. He was coming clean on a bunch of stuff and then not
really?
Clean, like not himself,
he was only
but
28.
He was trying to whistleblow a bunch of stuff.
Really?
And then
I'd like to see some evidence on that. He's really good though. Like I'm not a big EDM guy, but I could really get into his stuff. I was going to actually throw something on here, but then we'll get a YouTube strike.
Yeah, don't bother.
Yeah. We might get some YouTube strikes even for playing the Supaman music. Because I remember Felix sent me some music from his buddy's band to play, and then bam, fucking they put ads in our shit.
Is it a bad sign that the CD is just still and stuck on this converting?
Is it moving up at all?
No, it's not moving up at all. Oh, maybe it is a little bit. Oh, it is a bit probably. Oof, I don't know. Okay, we'll see if it lasts.
That's the only way I don't have a DVD player or anything anywhere, so.
Well, it's probably too late now. It's probably solidified itself in the computer as it crashes the whole system.
Well,
what if it's a bomb?
It's an AVI file, so that's a video file.
What if it's a bomb? I hope it's not a bomb.
How could it be a bomb?
I don't know.
You'd make a bomb into a DVD or a CD?
Well, when James gave you the computer, it was already loaded with C4. Yeah, all they had to do was give you the disc.
This is just the trigger.
Boom! Yeah, that's why James has been pretty scarce lately too, man.
The handlers disappeared.
The handler gets you to buy a computer real cheap. It looks look how much thicker that thing is than mine.
As soon as we have John Brisson on in the Black Budget episode about the deep state, I get the CD in the mail.
Yeah, enough's enough.
How do you spell that?
So, yeah, I've got a really good email that's sort of appropriate as well. It's kind of a musician story, RH negative, child music sensation kind of thing. So you want me to play that? You want to give me a jingle, buddy?
A jingle? What jingle again? Sorry, I was talking to Joe.
It's a listener email about RH negative. It's kind of just a cool...
can I with Grimerican goodies? It's been a while.
Yep.
And now another edition of the Grimerican goodies by the people, for the people.
Yeah, so this is a great email. Anonymous for now. Sorry it takes so long to get back to you. I've been pretty busy, but it's a good thing. The first round of stories I'd like to share with you is from when I was really little, maybe age 2 through 5. First, I'm O negative from 2 A positive parents. My siblings are both A positive as well. My mother had a terrible time during her pregnancy with me. She lost over 20 pounds. I was delivered 6 weeks early as she'd gone into premature labor and had a prior C-section. So my epiglottis had not fully formed, and I threw up damn near everything she put in front of me for the first few months. She nursed me nearly constantly. She tells stories about driving an old Pinto stick shift while I was on her breast. Despite her best efforts, I lost weight, had a hard time getting started. I was severely jaundiced for quite a while after my birth, and she eventually, obviously, she succeeded. So before I turned 1, I began having nosebleeds. Mom tells a story about how she was asking the doctor what to do for them. He started blowing her off like the nervous mother, and while I'm on his shoulder, I get a nosebleed all down his back. It took him nearly an hour to get it to stop. I continued to get these nosebleeds randomly until I started smoking at age 14. I figured the smoke narrows my capillaries or something weird like that. I have to wonder how much of all that is related to my blood type. Now then, back to the stories I wanted to share. I was nearly 3 when I can start remembering some strange shit I don't understand. I shared a room with my older sister then. We had bunk beds. I slept in the top bunk, and our room was on the second floor of the house. I remember an angel coming to see me at night outside the window beside my bed. Now, my sister never saw her, and she would be sitting outside in the upper part of a double-hung window on the second floor. I would tell my mom all about her, and she still believes me. She didn't come every night, but would show up pretty often. She was milky, blue-white, luminescent, and lovely. She had an oval face, a small mouth, blue eyes, and a long, silvery, glowing hair. She did not have wings. She just literally was sitting in thin air, so close. I felt, and I still wonder, like there was no window at all. She glowed a silvery blue-white muted light from all over her, and she was sort of small compared to an adult human, but I felt like she was an adult, and her face was completely non-human, not far from human, but I've never seen anyone with the features she had. Also, she was somewhat not real, like a projection or something. But she was real at the same time. I knew she was never going to hurt me or scare me. I think she was completely beautiful and gentle. I was never afraid of her, and I never questioned her about why she was or who she was. She really just showed up to sing to and with me. This is interesting because it's gonna play into her abilities, I think. I could hear her clearly, but looking back, I wonder if it was telepathic, even through the closed window. I don't remember ever talking with her about anything at all, only singing. And now that I think about it, she showed up when I couldn't sleep. I would say prayers before bed for everyone I knew, and then try like crazy to fall asleep. I've been a lifelong intermittent insomniac. On those nights when it was just happening, she'd come and we'd sing, super quiet so we didn't wake up my sister, and I would sing myself to sleep with her. As I write this, I'm pretty sure she's still around. I just don't know if I want to see her anymore. I was and am a musician. I mention that because I had a very close friend who was an inventor and a physicist. He had an imaginary friend that would come and do math with him for fun when he was little. Now shit gets even stranger. The first time I was shown sheet music, I understood it fully and how to play it on a piano or any other instrument I could get my hands on. That was at age 3. I remember it clearly. I remember feeling like I was so glad to get back to it. I could hear it by looking at it. I still can just fine. That's interesting. I could hear it by looking at it. It sounds like that synesthesia.
Ooh, that does sound a lot like synesthesia. I wish I could get that shit. I want to taste green.
I started playing classically right away. I couldn't even begin to reach the pedals. My parents had to find a teacher that would take a kid so young, but they did. And I was playing Beethoven and Mozart right away. Unfortunately, no one knew what to make of me, including me. There's more to the music stories, I assure you. Reading English happened the same way, around the same time, literally within a few days of the music reading. I remember clearly one day when we were playing, my sister held up a flashcard with the word R on it, like as in A-R-E. She covered the A and the E and said, "What letter is this?" I said, R. She uncovered the letters and said, "Okay, what word is this?" I answered, airy, and laughed. I knew it was R, so she was just playing around. Turns out I knew all the words after that, not only how to read them, but what they meant. Nearly any word, no matter how long or complicated. My mother came home a short while later, and I told her, "Mommy, I can read," and she waved me off. "Sure, kid, of course you can." She was pretty mind-blown when I started taking the cereal out of the cupboard and reading the ingredients. She started pulling books off the shelves. Read this one. She was so happy and excited. I'm sure it was really weird for her, though. Again, I was only 3. After that, I read every book in the house, including the encyclopedia, medical, and first aid books. I had an insatiable craving for nonfiction and religious, spiritual, paranormal books. I guess I didn't read every book, I had very little patience for fiction until later in my life, with the exception of fairy tales. I remember leaving the library with stacks of books as big as I could carry and having half of them read on the way home. My dad would take me there twice a week. So add to it that I didn't speak at all until I was nearly 3. That's weird. Normally, when do babies speak? Around 1?
Madison started around 9 months, and
9
Cassandra
months.
started around a year. Yeah.
Wow, yeah. So she didn't speak till she was 3. So her and my dad even tested me to see if I was mute or mentally slow. I barely made a sound at all as a baby. I rarely cried, and according to my mom, I was just like a doll. I would stay wherever I was put and be quiet until someone came back to get me.
Wow,
then
these
one
days
day,
you'd be worried about autism.
Yeah. Then one day I was almost 3. I started speaking in full sentences. They said I spoke like an average 7 or 8-year-old just all of a sudden. That's also when I was remembering things. I can remember quite a bit from that point on. I remember my great-grandpa Charlie. He never learned to read at all. We had very special connection. It's like he knew something deeper about me that I still didn't understand. He used to tell me, "You're going to be Miss America someday." I wasn't, but I hold my own. He loved for me to sit with him and read to him. Here I am, just a little toddler with my thumb in my mouth, reading The Princess and the Pea and Grimm's fairy tales to an old man. Still one of my favorite memories. When I was 4, we moved to Mexico temporarily. Of course, I did not speak Spanish at this point. I can tell you that when my neighbors and friends would talk to me in Spanish, it sounded just like English to me. I had no problems understanding them from day one. I can't tell you if I spoke it back. I really can't tell the difference in my memories, but they seemed to understand me just fine. My poor little brother was only 2 at the time and was speaking a mix of toddler Spanglish. I understood him just fine as well. Although I think that language experience for him might have fucked him up for life. That's a story for another time. Well, I've given you just the tiniest of tastes here, really only the beginning of what's been a totally weird life. It's weird for me to write all this down. It sure sounds like total BS. She says, I'm sure it sounds like total BS. I promise, I'm not a drama queen or a special person dying for attention. That's just not my style. I've never understood what this is all about. My parents are normal people. They didn't seek attention for their super weird kids. I would really like to hear from anyone else that has any similar stories. I'm also interested if anyone has any idea what the hell this is all about. If you'd like, I can send more stories when I have a chance. Like I said, I don't want to bore anybody or anything. So, wow. What do you think of that, Darren?
It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, you having two little girls. I mean, seeing them both grow up totally differently. I mean, would that blow your mind or what?
Well, in some ways they do. They're sort of coming back around now. Like, it took Cassandra a lot longer to become vocal than Madison, and a little longer to start walking and stuff like that. Because Madison was like super quick. Like, she was walking and talking in 9 months, and
wow,
yeah. And now she's reading and everything too. It's just crazy. And Cassandra it took Cassandra a little longer, but then once she got there, she seems to be catching up now, is what I'm noticing. Because now that she's able to learn from Madison, it's just leaps and bounds, because she's constantly learning all day, hand in hand. So she's counting a lot better than Madison would have been at her age. She's already doing some math, which Madison wasn't doing yet. When she was a 4, she wasn't doing any math yet. Cassandra can already, she can only do, if she doesn't have a piece of paper and a pen to write marks, then she can only do she can really do like numbers up to 5, because she does them on her fingers. But still, I'm not sure. I was doing that when I was 4.
What do you think about the whole imaginary friend thing?
Cardboard. I think that's healthy. That's normal. Like
the inventor and the physicist who had an imaginary friend, and then she had these angels. I mean, is that some sort of download or some sort of spiritual help? I
still think all those kids have access to something we don't when they're at that young age.
Until they turn like 8 or 9.
No, maybe younger than that.
7 even.
Younger than that. But up till they're like 3. You just look into their eyes, man, and they're just like, you can just see they're in another fucking world. There's someplace, they're getting something that we don't. And I think some of it's just their sort of half in between realms still.
Or could it be past life stuff as well?
Yeah, that's exactly what I think. I think there's a past life thing, and I think the imaginary friend is sort of a different
dimension.
No, a different rung on the same ladder of phenomena. Like all of that sort of stuff, the past lives or the the imaginary friends or kids being able to, I don't know.
Spirit guides, maybe? See the spirit guides?
I think that's like all connected.
Yeah.
I think that's all, they still got access to something for the first couple of years of their lives that, you know, only very few humans keep access to or able to tap into later in life.
And I wonder if the RH negative is part of that too. Who knows? I mean,
maybe
it's weird that she would just become so profound at like age of 3 for reading and
that
music.
Stuff's crazy.
Like, maybe
that's prodigy stuff. I don't know how. You know, it'd be interesting to have someone on to talk about that sort of prodigy shit.
Yeah.
That's something we've never. But I mean, that's gonna be crazy. I couldn't imagine if one of my kids was like a master piano player or something. Like that would be spooky. It'd be fucking spooky.
Yeah.
Or like a mathematician.
You're like, are you really Mozart reincarnated?
Who are you? Who are you? What else you got? I was going to do a social media thing, but I don't really have a. Can I just pick? I'm just going to play a jingle and you come up with something.
Yeah, sure.
Like that.
I want a good score for my synchronicity. If Graham reads it out, then Darren might give it to me. Hey, don't you please read it low, yeah.
All right, I'll just read this one out. This is a good one. The title of this email is episode 280, quite literally blew my mind. And I believe...
Which one was 280, Greg Doyle?
Yeah. Hi there. First and foremost, your show is fantastic. I love all of it, from the random ramblings in the beginning that make it feel like I'm hanging out with some old friends to the straight up amazing conversations that take place, much like your last episode with Greg Doyle. Which is what brings me here today. After listening to that episode yesterday, I had a very strange happening last night. Oh, yeah. This is interesting. I was laying in bed, listening to the sound around me as your guest suggested, and all I could hear was the buzzing in my ears. So I just listened to that, and it got very loud very quickly. Then all of a sudden, there was like a loud clap in my eardrums. Like my eardrums bursted, following by even stranger noises, which sounded like muffled, high-pitched sentences. Freaked me out, so I got up and didn't go back to sleep. What was this? Is this a sign that I was getting close or just some weird happening? Anyway, I feel like I should email your guest and ask him because he would probably be the one with the answers. But nonetheless, I felt I needed to share this with my fellow Grimericans to see if anyone else had similar experience. Thank you. You guys are the best.
Thank
Tulip.
you.
Thanks, Tulip.
Tulip.
I've heard that before, and actually I've heard it a little bit occasionally, but it's really faint. It's not like a loud clap, but it's just a faint,
snap.
Yeah, kind of like it's not even a snap. It's just a bang.
Just
but I can tell it's not like in the environment, but it's in my head.
Ear?
And I've heard them talk about this probably years and years ago on Mysterious Universe, and there's a name for it and
Audio
everything.
hallucination.
Yeah, it's more specific.
Auditory
It's more specific than that.
No, I remember talking about it. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
so. No,
I remember being fascinated with it.
No, it's a loud bang. What I get, more specific.
What I get, that's I think is probably related, is like I always think I hear music, and then if I like really focus in on it, it's like the fucking, you know, it's like if I get in a situation where say the washing machine or a furnace or something's running in the background, but I'll always faintly think I hear music for a minute, and then it'll, you know, as I sort of tune in to see, hey, what's that? And then I'll start, oh, that's just the fucking dishwasher in conjunction with the furnace. And for some reason in my head, I've turned it into a melody. And I'm like, where's that music coming from?
Wow.
And that's something I've had, like, I can remember having that for like 15, 20 years, as long as I can remember. What's that fucking music? It's like, oh, it's nothing.
Nothing to do with the
A
doobies?
dishwasher.
Well,
Maybe. It'll be.
I hear my alarm. I have a little song playing on my alarm in the morning, and it starts really quiet. And I hear that over and over afterwards. And I know it's off, but I hear that.
Maybe it's
just playing in the
cheeseburgers. What else you got, buddy? Anything else? Synchro? Oh. Did you do the synchro? No.
Did I do what? Well, no, I read that thing instead.
It's hardly a synchro.
What I do have a 4. I think I do have a...
I want to rate something.
Okay, here we go. I don't remember reading this. So this is a good one. This is from Peter. Hey guys, love your work. I was chilling out today listening to your April 15th show as I drove home, pulling into the gas station to fill up the car. I was fascinated as the Synchronicity tale Graham was reading, featuring the number 4. As I walked into the store to pay for the fuel, I pull out my phone to pause the podcast, only to find myself staring at the large time display on the screen, 4:44 p.m. However, my favorite Synchronicity tale is the one where the guy has a vivid dream where he's at a racetrack packed with horses and riders. He senses that he is feeling unusually confident. In fact, he feels positively lucky. At that moment, looking up, he notices in the sky above the racetrack a glowing golden number 7. He wakes instantly. Feeling a strong sense of urgency, the man rushes out of the house and down to the betting agency. Throwing caution to the wind, he boldly walks up to the counter and bets 700 on horse number 7 in the 7th race, and it came 7th. Cheers, Peter.
We'll give him a 7.7.
Nice.
It's funny because our buddy Jay Luca, remember he was doing he's our only 10%er that gives 10% of his gambling winnings to the Trinity Fund, which I think is actually, I think they're good for now. So hold off unless we say something else. I think they're good for now. So everyone just cross your fingers and send out a bunch of good vibes. But I think they're good financially for now anyway. Unless something else comes up, if something else comes up, we'll let you guys know. Where was I going with that now? So he texted me the other day and he's like, I'm about to donate $10 to the show.
Nice.
And he's like, should I bet it? And I was like, bet it. So then he emails me a couple of days later. He's like, you won. Fucking 12-1 or something like that. Nice. So now it's $100 and some. I was like,
no, stop now. Like, just send it over. No.
It's too late. He's like, what should I do? And I was like, let it ride, baby.
Oh, come on.
And I haven't heard back.
Oh, that's it. There's man, I could have paid for a month's worth of internet.
$1,000 could have paid for the trip.
A month's worth of internet.
If we win, we could pay for the trip.
Yeah, but if we win, that's the problem.
Well, yeah, that's just
gotta leave the table at some point.
If not, we'll just we'll send them some more money and try and win that back. I got one here. I actually got an email because when I send out, every once in a while when I send people out the supporter link, when they decide to, I'll jump into that quick. We might as well if I'm going to mention it. So what happened is Frank signed up for a monthly support. Not because he had to, just because he wanted to. Because we do the value for value model here where we're not going to do any ads or paywalls or anything like that. All we're going to do is keep releasing what we think is a quality product, and hopefully you guys can find some value with it and send a couple bucks our way, ideally on a monthly subscription basis. That is does help us out the best. Of course, we're not going to complain if someone wants to send us a one-time donation or some cryptocurrency or something like that. But yeah, if you can head over, sign up for a PayPal subscription or a Patreon monthly pledge, that really does help. And what's going to happen is as soon as you do that, I'm going to send you a link. Well, maybe not as soon as you do that, but soon after you do that, I will send you a link because we actually do have this black budget feed that we do some extra bonus content for the people who have chosen to support the show just as a little reward for them. We do some interviews in there with some great people like John Brisson and Randall Carlson and Greg Carlwood and a bunch of other people. And what we're doing with those is basically we do them live so that if people don't want to pay, they can either tune in live or they can support the show at any level. I think someone sent a $3 donation the other day. They still get the show one time. I mean, ideally, like we say, we would prefer you did a monthly, but if you do a donation, you're going to get access to those. And it's also the type of thing I think we'll probably end up dumping them out as bonus episodes way down the road sometime or something like that. But ideally, just go sign up for something and get that black budget content. And you're going to feel really good. I'm telling you sign up for a monthly, you're going to feel good. It's good for your conscience. It's good for your soul.
Super helpful, yeah.
Anyway, so our buddy Frank L signed up and he said, I sent him the link and he replied, I love you guys and I'm about 90% done with the back catalog. I'm a supporter and I'm receiving the Black Budget podcast fine, but when I try to log into the supporter page on the website, it asks me for a password and I'm clueless as to how to get one. So that's because that means he's been a supporter for a long time because I switched the link up when I made the new Black Budget page with the videos and stuff on it. It became password protected. So he's pre that even.
Okay.
When it was still just that RSS feed and that was it.
Okay.
So anyway, am I missing out on good stuff like black budget pictures of Graham's thighs or Graham arm wrestling RPJ? One more thing. How about selling patches, buttons, baseball caps, knitted caps, or hats with the Grimerica logo on them?
You mean toques?
Toques. A knitted hat is a toque, yeah. They won't be as bulky to ship as t-shirts or hoodies, and you don't need sizes. They're cheaper to have made, probably. And anything worn on the head is easier to see in YouTube concert videos and crowd venues where you'd get the most exposure. Just an idea. Keep up the good work. Don't stop the before and after ramblings. And say hi to Graham and RPJ for me. Frank.
Hey, Frank.
Ooh, Frank's catching up, eh? Go, Frank. So actually, I would love to have hats and stuff
on
like
Redbubble?
that. No, there's no hats on
Really?
Redbubble. I have to go. I should actually, now that it's been mentioned, I should actually double check, because the last time I went and double checked, like 6 months ago, they had added some items that I hadn't seen before.
That you can just buy and then put our logos on it.
Yeah, there's like a clock. Well, no, they can't. Normal people can't do that. I have to go in and design it.
Oh, really?
It's a process.
Oh, okay.
So it's like when I got, it's
So
something
the stuff
I've
that
got to
people
do, and
can
I've got
buy
to go in and make the art.
pre-designed by us then?
Yeah, there's shirts, hoodies, all sorts of that stuff on there now. You can get phone cases. If you go to grimerica.ca/swag, there's a ton of stuff there.
Yeah.
But I will take a look, because I think a Grimerica hat would be cool. I'd love to have some hats and toques if possible. But if we do that, we're probably going to try and do it through that sort of system. We don't want to get into handling merchandise here. We'll just give it all away.
Yeah.
So we just want to keep it all in some third-party fucking thing where you guys can go and buy it and they send us $1.
Yeah. So I got. So don't forget about the chats as well. There's a whole.
Did I give up the link yet? Grimerica.ca/support.
Yeah.
Chats is grimerica.ca/chats.
It's all in the show notes too.
Stop on by, 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 stop on by. Head on over to the Grimerica chats.
Woo! So, and also Darren's on Twitter and I'm on Instagram.
That's right.
Other social medias. So guess what? That DVD or CD or whatever, an error message came on. QuickTime Player can't open it.
Huh. You know what you need
to see if additional software is available that will.
VLC will open it.
Click tell me more.
VLC will open it.
What?
VLC player will open it.
On here?
Yeah.
Oh.
Just takes a second.
Nah, we'll see.
We'll do it for next show.
Yeah. By then,
do it at home.
What?
That computer does look pretty thick, and James has been being real fucking scarce.
Handler James, come back.
Boom. That's it. They just open up thing. The outsides of the igloo are just blowing open. Open up here, there's nothing left, just a black hole.
All right, buddy.
There you go. All right, guys. I think that's about it. Enjoy the chat with Christian, aka Supaman.
Check one.
All right. Believe it or not, it's been almost 3 years since we had Supaman, aka Chris Parish, on the show. He's a native hip hop artist, and I'm not sure if he's still competitive powwow dancing, but he used to be. And we had a great chat about. I can't believe it's been 3 years ago. So welcome back to the show, Supaman. How's it going?
Yo, it's going good. I'm still tripping about that 3 years. I was like, dang, was that 3 years ago? It seemed like last year.
I know. I just looked it up now. I cannot believe it.
That's kind of what I was thinking too. Was it was like a year and a half.
Yeah.
But I know it was episode 137.
Yeah. So sorry, it was probably like 2.5 years ago, but still, yeah. I mean, lots of times gone by. Lots has happened. How you been these days?
Yeah, life is good, man. Just always progression, always elevating and moving forward. So, yeah, it's been good, man. Life is good. I got no complaints.
That's good. Are you still doing your hip-hop thing quite a bit?
Yep. That's all I do, man. This is just life right here. I just got back from Michigan, and I was home. Now I'm headed to South Dakota, and headed to Cheyenne River Red. After that, I'll be going down to El Paso. And, man, this month is crazy. El Paso to freaking Auburn, California, back to Phoenix, over to, where am I going? Rutgers, New Jersey, Mohawk Valley. Yeah, it's a busy month.
Any plans to come to Canada soon?
Yeah, I'll actually be over in Canada at the end of the month over at Mi'kmaq Reyes.
Whereabouts is that?
That's over there by Halifax.
Oh yeah, that's way
over the east coast. Yep.
When do you figure you'll make it out west again? I think because you were in Banff, I think, but it was like 2 months before we found you.
Yeah, yep, that's right. Yep, and I'll be up in Canada for not in Alberta, but over for the Indigenous Music Awards. They're having that in Winnipeg. We'll be up there.
Oh, I could probably
got nominated for 3. Yeah.
Oh, congratulations! Nice. Which ones?
Yeah, I think you got nominated for Best Video, nominated for Best Producer, and Best Album, Best Hip Hop Album.
Which video?
It's a new video I had called Godly Warriors.
Perfect. We'll throw the links to those in the show notes.
Yeah, for sure. It's dope, man. It's something different than the loop, the looping videos that people are kind of used to. This is just that boom bap raw hip hop stuff.
What was your inspiration for that one?
Just a lot, just producing and making beats, and I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do it this style because I had a good sample. I was working on this beat, and I had like a little powwow sample in there, and it just sounded dope. And I had the verse that I did with Taboo from the Black Eyed Peas. We connected, and we did a song for Standing Rock last year called Stand Up. And he reached out to me during that time with some other amazing artists, and he's like, "Yo, can you rap in your language? Can you rap in your language?" I was like, "Yeah, I can." He's like, "All right, I want you to rap in your language on this song." So I did, and there's so many artists on there. They had to cut my verse kind of short. I had like 4 bars on there, which is awesome. I'm just amazing. It's just an amazing opportunity. And then and so I still had some language left, for the verse. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to put this on this beat I was making, I'm going to do that, the whole verse to that song on here. And then I'm going to do a video for it and put the translation, on the screen. So people who don't know, my language, the Apsalia language, can see that, on the screen. And it's a water is life type of verse, so it's all power to the medicine of water.
Nice. So that's the gist of your message is that water is life, go with the flow, that kind of thing.
Yeah, yep. That the first part is I'm rapping over a hand drum over the first part, and then it kind of goes into just some live cuts, some DJ Premier type vibes, and then I just have it's a collaboration with an East Coast MC. Over there in Rhode Island named Passionate MC. He's an amazing underground artist. And he's native too from over there, the Narragansett, I think. I forgot the name of how they pronounce their tribe, but yeah, it was dope.
Go ahead, Dan.
I do have actually more questions than usual from the chats to get to a little bit later. But before we get to that, and before I forget, I do want to mention that I do have 2 daughters, Madison and Cassandra. One's Madison's 6, she'll be 7 soon, and Cassandra's 4. And they're both, I guess they'd only be 30% native or so, a little less than me. But yeah, they're both, you're both for both of them, you're their favorite musician, so they wanted to say hello.
Yo, that's crazy. Yeah, tell them I said, what's up? That's awesome.
Yeah, and they were listening to some music today, actually trying to come up with some questions, but they're still a little bit young for that. But they're both looking forward to in the next year or so to start making some jingle dresses, which they actually really, when they watched your video a few years ago, Why, that's kind of what really got my oldest, Madison, really sort of down that road and interested in it, and she just hasn't given it up, and we were, so we're kind of ready to go down that. So when we asked them today if they had any questions, they both asked the same questions, was how do you make a jingle dress? So I was just wondering if you could kind of take us through, obviously not the logistics of making the dress, but maybe sort of the process as you know it from your band.
Yeah, for sure. Like, yeah, that's dope. First of all, that's dope that your daughters are inspired, to like come into the circle, man. That's from seeing that video, because that's a contemporary, that's two cultures together, hip hop culture and native culture. But to be inspired, to want to come into the circle and dance, from seeing the video, that's like powerful, to me. So thank you for sharing that. There was another kid who just hit me up today. It's kind of weird. Hit me up today and he said, yo, I just started fancy dancing. I got my outfit together, and I'm coming into the circle, and I just want to thank you for inspiring me. I wanted to be a fancy dancer like you. And I was like, man, that's cool to see that the natives are getting inspired, to follow their culture, even though it's it's kind of like a contemporary hip hop, collective. Musically, what I do is that way, but they're like, yo, I want to dance, so that's good. Props. So the jingle dress is, it's not from my tribe. It's from the Ojibwe tribe.
That's actually, sorry to interrupt you, but that's actually what our background is, Ojibwe.
Oh, is that right? Okay, yeah. Dope. Then, yo, you're right there. Then, yeah, you just, you're connected with that dance, that medicine dance. So me, like Apsaluga, we don't, that's not ours, that's not our dance. Like even the dance that I do is adopted, fancy and contemporary. And so like, I don't even know like the protocols that go, along with, your tribe. But as for myself, just when we come into the circle is, we usually have, we usually have our, we feed our clans, and we have them pray for us. And then we ask a veteran or, military person, a warrior, of the tribe, somebody we might look up to or who might be our clan, lead us out, into the circle. And then we'll have somebody announcing, you have to have the right to announce, the speaker to speak to the people. And then you have the drum, sing either your family song or your district song or, a song that you want to come out with. And then you start announcing, and then your family will dance behind you. And you come out to the circle, and the announcer lets everybody know, hey, this is so-and-so, they're coming out, their first dance, and they kind of tell the people their accomplishments, maybe, if they were into sports or whatever, they would announce, hey, they're a good basketball player, or they're part of this, and their parents are these people, and they've done these things, in life, and then that's how we come out. We come out into the circle, in that way, kind of our protocols as a Taluga. So everybody's different, all tribes. So I wouldn't really know the Ojibwe way to do it.
I would imagine. I mean, we've done some looking into it for sure, and it all sort of follows that same sort of outlook of reaching out and using your elders and doing it with a lot of intention and you can't go buy it you can't go buy one. We figured out that real quick. You've got to sort of make it yourself from scratch and put a lot of heart into it.
Sure. Yeah, yep, definitely. Usually, when the people want to dance, the whole family, gets excited, and they all kind of chip in and help that individual, have an outfit.
So on that same vein, we do have a question from the chats here that did you learn to fancy dance as a little kid? Who taught you? And what was the experience like? How stressful was it?
Stressful, I like that. I started fancy dancing when I was in junior high. Before that, when I came out to the circle, I came out as, my tribe, we Crow traditional. We have a significant dance called the Crow traditional, or we call it Crow hot dancing. And so that's how I came out. I started as a Crow traditional dancer. And then later on, we'd watch the fancy dancers, at powwows, and they were just so energetic and look fun, look more fun than the traditional style. And I always asked my mom, like, Mom, I want to dance that dance. And she's like, nope, that's a different tribe, we don't do that. That's not us. That's Oklahoma. Those people come from Oklahoma. And so kind of shot us down, but we go back to the camp, at Crow Fair, and then we grab cottonwood leaves, branches, and then we have a cooler that's at the camp, and we would sing songs, and we'd have our own fancy dance, competition at the camp. And they kind of just watch us, kind of laugh at us and say, "Hey, look at these guys! They want to be fancy dancers." Me and my brother and my cousin, we'd have our own fancy dance contests. And then later on, we'd see more people adopting other tribes' styles, like fancy or grass and jingle, stuff like that. And it's kind of accepted. People are just like kind of going with it, and it was okay. So I said, Mom, I want to fancy dance. So she finally let me start dancing fancy, and that was just pure passion. I loved it. I loved dancing. We'd practice, all the time before I was even a fancy dancer. We'd dance in the living room, have our own little contests, play the fancy dance songs, and I just loved it so much. And so there was no stress about it whatsoever. It's actually the opposite. It's therapy and stress relief. For me, when I'm fancy dancing or I'm dancing out there, it's a good feeling. It's just like a spiritual. It's a good spiritual place to be.
Would you liken it almost to like maybe the sort of the zone you can get into playing a sport?
Yeah, definitely. You kind of get into that euphoric feeling. There's something called a runner's high, I've heard, like for runners, and you just, when you get in that zone, that's how it is when you powwow, when you dance. To me, anyway, when I get out there and there's a good song, playing, and I just start cutting loose and dancing, and you kind of lose yourself, in the moment, and you're just, the people are watching too. People are checking you out, and you dance for them. And like those are the values, that I was taught about powwow culture, about the circle is that's who you're dancing for. You're dancing for the people who are watching you, because some of them can't dance. They're in wheelchairs. They're disabled. Some of them are sick in their bodies, need a healing. Some of them, lost loved ones. Their hearts are heavy. And so I was told those are the people you dance for, because when they watch you, you have to have a good heart when you come out to the circle. Have a good heart. And if your heart's in a good place, they'll watch you and they can see your heart. And if they see your heart's in a good place, then their spirit's uplifted and healing takes place. So you kind of go out there with that mentality, that, hey, you have a purpose, when you dance. It's not just for looks or for money, stuff like that, because that element is definitely in the circle nowadays. But you have those kind of values when you go out there, knowing that, there's people watching you. You make your family proud. You make your people proud.
Yeah, I can see that helping, because otherwise, I don't know, I'd be self-conscious. I find that'd be hard to do, but maybe that's the culture that we grow up in here, where it's like, fear of, people either ridiculing you or making fun of you, or like that type of thing. Like, I know some people just love being entertainers, but a lot of people have that fear, just dancing even in, anywhere is difficult for some people. So I like the whole part about the love and the heart, and like that you're doing it for other people. That might help. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Like I think like parents, and grandparents, those values there, like always need to be taught before, a kid even dances, even before they want to dance. Teach them that value, that there's kind of like a responsibility, that comes along with it, and a prideful. Empowering, when we're out there, because it is a spiritual act. It's more than just the physical manifestation of dance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So obviously your culture and your heritage is a huge part of the one side of your music. I've got another question here in the chats of who the top 5 rappers that have influenced you.
Top 5 MCs, man. That's always an ongoing, changing, list for me. I could name a few, like Tino XL is always, the top one. Shout out to Tino. Tino XL is like one of the top lyricists ever, man. Like Punchline King. He's really clever. He's like part of Mensa. He's a genius. Eminem, of course, is dope, man. He changed the game with his rhymes. With me, anyway, inspired me. Jizza from Wu-Tang Clan. The whole Wu-Tang Clan's dope. Sticky Fingers from Onyx. Black Thought from The Roots. So that would be 5 right there. There's plenty more, man. There's like Exhibit, Rough Voices, MOP. There's a lot. New school cats, Kendrick, J. Cole, and there's a lot. I like Fabulous. Who else? Busta Rhymes, of course. I'm always old school,
Does the intention and the message mean a lot to you when you're like with the people that you like growing up to, like some of your idols?
No, not really. It's just a vibe. Like, yeah. I mean, there's some crazy cats out there that say some crazy stuff, but I vibe with it. I'll play MOP, and they're just talking about, take chains off, robbing people and all kinds of crazy stuff. And, I like that vibe. I just, it feels good. I'm not going to go rob anybody, but yeah. I just like the feel of their music, and just the whole vibe of it is dope.
Yeah. So what were you doing when you're traveling around? Like lately, you're going all over the states. Are you touring with the hip hop? Are you still doing the other stuff where you're helping some of the the natives through addiction and alcoholism and stuff like that?
Yeah, definitely. It's always it goes hand in hand. Like the hip hop and the things that I do are always hand in hand. So even if I'm just performing at a club, which I did, like in Minneapolis, I performed over there. It's just like, hey man, we're gonna have a hip hop show, And I told my story, when I was on stage. I mean, people were like drunk in the crowd and everything, and I just said, hey, this is why I don't drink and stuff like that. And just kind of let them know on a human being level, like. Yeah. These are the choices that I make, and I always, try to inspire that, anybody in the crowd that might be struggling or, whatever, just try to keep on a good level with everybody. But that work is always with me, no matter where I go, if it's in the club or if it's at a conference or, wherever I'm booked at a festival, I'm always sharing, my story, hopefully to inspire somebody, to, be a better human being themselves, be better than they were yesterday.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I was just reading that actually in that book I just read, talked about that, about how to just compare yourself to who you were yesterday every day and just try and improve on that a little bit. I actually went,
definitely. That's what it's all about.
It's been about a quarter of a decade, which isn't a lot of time in the scheme of things, but have you noticed, any sort of glimmers of hope in the suicide problem?
In the suicide problem, that's like, I don't even know the statistics of that, like over the time, but I sure hope so. I definitely hope so. And I think there's more of an awareness for sure, and people are more aware because, social media and just like people, like, what's his name, had a good song. He was at the VMAs when we were there this summer. What's his name? Logic. He has that song about suicide, and kind of highlighted that. And so, yeah, I would hope that, things are getting better. I don't really know, but, yeah, I definitely hope they are.
Interesting. So, I feel like there's more awareness about the heavy drug problems as well, like the fentanyl stuff. I feel like even though it seems like some of that stuff's getting worse, I feel like there's more awareness around the dangers and that there is a solution. Like, I didn't know 10 years ago that you could get book, Clean and Sober, right? I mean, I just didn't know that was possible, that there was, there was the recovery programs and all that kind of stuff. So I feel like that even in the last 10 years, like I just passed my 10-year date, my clean and sober date. And I think back then, like there's so much more awareness really, just in that decade. So yep. And I think you sharing your message on stage to all these people and being able to get up there and perform in a sober state is very important for that, to spread that message.
Yeah, for sure. I think the awareness is just like you said, it's more accessible now, it's just up in people, just like smoking too, like people, like kids are like, oh, no way, I ain't gonna smoke, like they have all this info, from TV and the info and the promotions that go against smoking and the facts, just basic facts. And so it's like almost going against being cool, smoking now, which is freaking dope, because I used to buy cigarettes from my mom, when I was a kid. It was like nothing. And secondhand smoke was just around me all the time. And it's like normal life. And so nowadays, I think I see it's changing. The culture of influence is changing. So I definitely hope it's going in that direction, for those things like suicide and drug addiction, any kind of addiction like that.
Yeah, I hope so.
I like to think the addiction problems go down. I know in Canada, at least, we're starting to have a lot more awareness on the Aboriginal women problem and going missing. I know that's been a huge problem here, but
doesn't normally get enough attention, probably.
Well, it just kind of started getting attention in the last 2 or 3 years. I mean, people have been screaming about it for the better part of a decade, but it's finally starting to, gain a little bit of traction. Yeah. It seems to take a while in Canada, anyways.
Yeah, for sure. That's good. It's good to see. Like, I just remember somebody kind of like talking about that, and there was no database of the natives, and I was like, wow, you don't even think of it sometimes, you don't even think about it if it's not really, if you don't have like a relative missing or something, you kind of just like are on the outside, and then just to see, just to hear about it, about how bad it was, they're like, oh, dang, we definitely need to highlight this, especially as an artist. I started highlighting it myself, doing the hashtags and just trying to bring that awareness after you hear about it. And so I think a lot of people are doing that. And with the Native community, that's the good thing, because they're always promoting, positive things, like the, like anybody doing something good for the community, they back them up and they share it and everything like that. That's the good thing about our people is they want to help, in some way. They want to bring some positivity, to our people.
Well, I also feel like there's a big awareness now of spiritual practices and different practices around the world, and that people are looking now at the Native community and the traditional practice of just being, more spiritual and one with the land, and all the reverence and respect that you guys have for, like you were talking about with the heart practice and all these things that people are finally, I think they're waking up to it a little bit more on a global level as well. And that must affect you. I think that must affect your community, just for people just getting more spiritual, even if they're reaching it through, psychedelics or meditation or yoga, like even if they're reaching it through Eastern practices or whatever type of practice it is, it all overlaps. Like all the spiritual stuff is kind of connected.
Yeah, I agree. Like I grew up like in church, in like Christianity, baptized Catholic and everything, and even did my early albums like just straight up Christian stuff. You like hear I just like was a part of that culture, Western church, Christian culture. And so I was like really a part of that. But as you grow older, you get more knowledge, and then you just kind of start doing critical thinking, and you're like, yo, this is crazy, like we're natives, and like, you just kind of like look at it in that way. But I can never deny like the spiritual power that I experienced in that realm, in that circle of prayer, and just I've seen some amazing things, just in my walk with the Creator in that realm,
In both realm? In which realm? In the Christian realm, or?
Yeah, in the Christian realm. Like I've seen some incredible things, and so I never just like right now. I'm really. I mean, we're all on a journey. You know, we're all on a journey, and but me, my views of Christianity are really different. You know, they're really changed than I was. You know, like a while back. You know, like really changed, and so I don't like to take that label no more. You know, like somebody says, "Are you a Christian?" I don't like to say, "Yes, I'm a Christian." You know, I don't take that label anymore. The way Christians like look at other religions and say, "Oh, that's evil," or Native ways are evil. I don't have that view. You know, I don't believe that. Just like you said, you know, that's all connected. That's how I believe. I believe it's all connected, and it's just greater than our thinking. You know, like. If you're an astronaut and you go out into outer, somebody said that they were an astronaut and they went out to outer space and looked at how tiny the Earth was and how big the universe was, and they're just like, oh my God, this is stupid. You know, all the things that we, you know, nitpick about in religion and race, and it's just so dumb. You know, when you have a different perspective. And so I always try to keep my perspective, you know, really open to everything and everybody's belief, to respect it, you know, and know that we are all on a journey. And I can always, you know, talk about my experiences, you know, my spiritual experiences that I can't deny. And also, you know, what's in store for me, you know, tomorrow or the next days is just, I just want to continue to spread that love, you know, like you can never deny that, you know, you can never deny kindness and love from no matter what religion you're from.
What's the general feeling in the rest of the hip hop community? Like, because we still live in this paradigm where, you know, materialism rules, and the skepticism out there about anything beyond our physical realm, you know, is still sort of, you know, it's still, you know, running our schools and running, you know, the government and stuff like that. But we're all kind of, a lot of us are waking up to this central theme that we're all connected and all. What's the hip hop community like in that regard? Are they pretty atheistic, or are they sort of have more of a spiritual depth to them?
Yeah, I think there's an opening, you know, there's an awakening in the hip hop community. Even like, I mean, before you couldn't be gay and rap, you know, it was like, no way, you know, like it was just like hip hop was like anti-gay, you know, all the time. And now there's like, you know, all kinds of gay rappers, you know, out there like that. So the whole culture is changing, mentality is changing, and just the generations are different. And so they have access to more information now, you know, on the internet, and they can like think for themselves and kind of like, you know, like get some information and just kind of base their perception on that information, you know, whether that's like a universal, you know, thinking, or, you know, it's not as closed-minded as it used to be.
Yeah, totally.
Here's one for you. You were talking earlier about how the different tribes, or in Canada we call them bands or tribes, or how they've kind of come together, and maybe, you know, a generation or two ago you couldn't be dancing the dances of other tribes, and now it's kind of all mixing together, and that's okay. There's this new huge push of cultural appropriation, you know, and all this, and I kind of come from the side of it that there's enough that our culture is kind of disappearing, and has disappeared far enough already that if people want to appropriate it, then the more power to them, as long as they're doing it in a respectful manner. It actually comes up in our family because I mean, I'm only half Native, and my wife is Métis. So, I mean,
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah. And so actually, Madison was wearing her moccasins, and she had some Native guy gave him shit out in Bragg Creek. Mentioned it.
Oh, I didn't know it was a Native guy.
She shouldn't be wearing the moccasins.
I thought it was somebody else in a store or something.
Yeah, it was out in the store in Bragg Creek. So I think, you know, I was just wondering what your thought was on that, saying as you're sort of broadcasting it to the world. And I imagine there's all sorts of interest from all sorts of different races and cultures that, you know, when I look at your videos with millions of views, you know, you must be getting all sorts of people interested in the Native culture. And I, for one, think that's a good thing. Yeah. I think that cultural appropriation is a good thing as long as it's done with respect.
So not on Halloween.
Yeah.
Then?
Yep.
I'm okay with Halloween too, man. Really, it's just don't be a dick about it. Just don't be racist. Just don't be a dick about it, And I think the more we fucking focus in on this, I think that makes it worse. I really do. You know what I mean? Like I think we've swung too far in some ways, and that just makes it even worse. You're being racist by trying not to be racist.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is definitely a sensitive issue like that, for a lot of natives. Like, just the way the people do it, like, I don't know, like me, like if I see somebody wearing who's white, or like if they're black and they were wearing like the native Halloween costume that they bought, I'd probably laugh, I'd laugh. It'd be funny to me, but at the same time, I'd wish they wouldn't do that, I'd be like, nah, you don't want to do that, because all the stuff that we wear, it has like a deep, meaning. Like everything we do as natives, like it has like it comes from spiritual, everything like comes from our spiritual foundation. And so like for somebody to like do that in that way, it is kind of like it's kind of like offensive, to a lot. But at the same time, when you know where you are and where you come from, you can just you can laugh about it. You can laugh like, oh, that person doesn't know. They're uneducated. They're ignorant to that issue about that. And then so it's good to have that education and that dialogue, with the people who don't really know. And especially what I do, like you were saying, like I'm mixing two cultures together. Like hip hop, and they were even saying Bruno Mars was doing cultural appropriation from Black culture, and I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, he's taking Black culture and he's making it his. It's not right. And I was like, yo, that's crazy. It just kind of blew my mind. I had to like take a step back and like, all right, where is this person coming from with this? So the style of music, the lady was saying that it was Black culture. And then again, my thinking, like when it comes to culture, if I'm thinking about Black culture, I'm thinking like African culture, tribal culture that comes from Africa, that's rooted in spirituality. That's what I think of. If I'm really going to think about Black culture, that's what I think of, is like that root, that foundation of the African culture, that comes from tribal and it's rooted in spirituality. And so for them to say, yeah, that's cultural appropriation, I just thought, no, that's just pop culture. That's pop culture appropriation there. He's just using pop culture, American pop culture, with his music. So I don't know. Everybody has a different perspective and everything. And so like, as you guys are saying, to do it respectfully, that's where it's at. Like I put the two together with the intention of, affecting the listener in a positive way. And also like, hey, I inspired some natives to want to dance, to want to embrace their culture and dig deep more into who they were. And so when you have those kind of intentions, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, that's a really good point. We're getting to the point now where they're talking about appropriating, a sector of pop culture.
Yeah.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
You're appropriating
it's tricky.
Subculture.
Yeah,
it's just going to get...
Where does it stop?
Yeah. Subculture appropriation.
Yeah.
Subcultural appropriation.
You're appropriating...
subculture.
Yeah, we could even go as far as say you're appropriating our counterculture. Counterculture appropriation.
Yeah.
That's what InfoWars is doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Reverse.
Yeah.
We're doing reverse culture appropriation.
Yeah. So how are some of the other ways that you incorporate your culture, speaking of that, into your music? Like, is there some other spiritual practices, and how do you come up with some of your lyrics, your creativity, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, like the video "Why" on the song "Why."
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm adding that gourd rattle in there, that comes from a spiritual foundation, which is the NAC, Native American peyote, if you know anything about peyote religion. And so that comes from that spirituality practice. And so I actually come from that. My grandpa, his name was Frank Texagan. He was the president the Native American church, which is peyote. And he did amazing work. Like when they were raiding, when they went down to, when the Navajo Nations were starting their ceremonies, like the cops started raiding them, and throwing them to jail, like and saying, yeah, you guys got this drug called peyote, you guys are possessing drugs, and they threw him in jail. And then my grandpa, who had been into some court cases already for the peyote meetings up north on our res, he went down there, to help them because he knew about the law and everything. And then he ended up going all the way to the Supreme Court, to fight for this right of the spiritual practice of NAC,
Wow.
Native American Church. Yeah, and so they won, like him and some other great men. They fought the Supreme Court and they won, back in the day. And so when people practice this peyote religion, these ceremonies, it's because of that, that those court cases that were won. And so that's just, back home, he was his grandpa at home. I found out about this stuff like when he passed away, that how a great man that he was and where I came from connected with that. And so it's always an honor to share that part, in even in that realm of cultural, putting those two together. So that hook that you hear, that chorus, that's a NAC style. That's like a prayerful melody style of singing there.
Wow, that's a great story. Yeah, one of the few churches that I don't know if psychedelic's the right word, but one of the few,
that it's legal in. That was it was like the first one to win.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Like
that's really paving the way.
Wedge in the door.
Because that opens up a whole bunch of...
Well, that'll open up for ayahuasca and everything. Have you ever tried a peyote journey?
Yeah, yep. That's the medicine, that's the sacrament that we use when they pray in the meetings.
Is that like, I've tried psilocybin and stuff like that. I would love to do that in like the proper setting. Is that like, so is that a coming of age thing that you would do, say, as an entrance to manhood, or how does that, like, how does the first time come to play, and what role does it play in your evolution as a man?
Well, sometimes, like, some tribes have different beliefs, sometimes they don't want kids, in there until like they're 18 or like they graduate. Like graduation is kind of like one of the times where they have a peyote meeting, for the kids, or, like that when they're kind of getting a little bit older, but they don't really try to take the kids in there too much that I know of. And so, yeah, it's kind of like that, like, they'll do for graduations and things like that, different ceremonies.
What about the vision? Would you do a vision quest, Darren? Like, what about that when you walk? Is that part of your culture, Chris, where you walk? I think you go into the bush for like 3 or 4 days or something. And
yeah, that is actually our fasting. We do fasting. Yeah, like the older, like the chiefs and our people, that was our spirituality. Like when you see crows, Upsala, where I come from, when you see them practicing the sun dance, that's an adopted spiritual practice. We got ours from the Shoshones, the sun dance. And so it's like, I think like crows, they mainly did that, they fasted and they prayed out in the mountains, alone, or they would take like a friend, 2 at a time, or I don't know, just different ways. But they would fast and pray, and they would get these visions, and get this power, get these messages from the Creator or these beings, and they would receive like power, medicine or like helpers, things like that to help you in life, at war, or just having wisdom, in life.
It's so interesting how, that culture isn't the only one that fasting is a big part of, and now they're finding through science and all this other, biohacking stuff that fasting is so important to healing. There's some of the best scientists and doctors are coming up with cancer protocols that include this fasting. I mean, and then here these cultures around the world have been doing it for millennia, as a part of their regular spiritual practice, which includes kind of like a detox or like a cleaning out of your whole system as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's a good thing. Like the old stories, and the old, the stories that I was told or I have read, it's just amazing, to know that, you come from that. You kind of, that's a part of who you are. Your ancestors practiced these ways, and they received these amazing visions and these prophecies, that actually came true. Like our chiefs, they saw like the buffalo disappearing. Like one of them, he saw these buffaloes going into a hole into the ground, and they just all went out. And then there was another hole that came up, and cows, cattle were coming up. And the cattle were there instead of the buffalo now.
Oh, wow.
So they saw that a long time ago, and they saw the big old long iron snake, which was the trains, the trains that come through the land before they even got here. Like, so they seen those things in their visions, and they always had that wisdom, for the tribe, that creative spirituality always showed them, the best way, what to do for their people.
Yeah, Darren, you should try one of those. Go on like a vision quest and try some peyote.
I could get into all that, man. Yeah, absolutely.
There you go.
What about the sweat lodges and stuff like that? Do you do much of that, or have you tried those?
Yeah,
Graham does quite a bit of sweat lodging.
I haven't in a while, but I used to. I should do it.
Yep,
again.
definitely. We got sweats, like everybody's practice sweats, back home. It's a normal part. Like if you drive through our res, in Crow, you'll see a lot of those, just in people's backyards. They'll have like a bunch of boards up, and they have a sweat there. So that's all over. People always practice sweat.
Right on.
I haven't tried that yet either.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, you should do that.
I'm always spooky that it's going to be one of those, like, I read that one story out of that one down in Arizona where all those people died, and now I'm just like, I'm just going to go to some sketchy, it's like, but I guess you've tested a few out.
Yeah,
that
people do them properly up here, and they're not abusing the, that whole process, and it's good. Yeah, it's good for you. So, what are your plans in the next couple of years with music and traveling? And are you going to continue on with all that stuff?
Yeah, definitely. Like, we just had an amazing, as I was telling you, we collaborated with Taboo, from the Black Eyed Peas.
Yeah.
And so when he reached out to me and we ended up making that song for Standing Rock, that was like a major move, like in what I do, with music, because when we made that and put it out, like MTV freaking nominated that video we made for a VMA award.
Wow.
They nominated it. And so we went to the VMAs this past summer.
That's awesome.
So we went down to the VMAs. We walked the red carpet. We saw Cardi B over here, DJ Khaled here, Kendrick Lamar, all these superstars were there. And we were there too, Mag 7, our crew, all natives. We were all there, and we made that representing something good, and really, really powerful, which was that medicine of water, Standing Rock, and the message of that movement. So we went there, and we ended up, they gave the award to everybody, and we ended up winning, an MTV VMA award, which is like huge, so that, like, I checked my Google right after that, and bam, it came right up, MTV VMA award winner, which is like, that's amazing. People dream about that. Artists all over the world dream about winning a VMA award, and, we won that. And so that was a major stepping stone in what I do and what we're doing. And Taboo kind of like he's running with that, like he has this vision of because he's worldwide, Black Eyed Peas. I mean, they did the Super Bowl, 7-time Grammy Award winning. They're just amazing, worldwide artists. And Taboo, he's native Shoshone, and he's connected, with the community, and he's reaching out more to native communities nowadays. He had his fight with cancer, and so that kind of like gave him a different perspective on life, and he's like starting to serve and do more, for the people, really changed him and affected him. And so he always, was with Black Eyed Peas worldwide, and he never used his Black Eyed Peas card, to take an artist and say, hey, check this guy out, this is, look at these guys. Hey, world, look at these guys, with his Black Eyed Peas platform. And so that's what he wants to do, with us native artists. There's 7 of us on there. There's Jesus, there's Kahara Hodges, who's Dene Navajo. There's PJ Vegas, who's Yaqui. There's the 2 Seminole brothers from down there in Florida, Spencer and Doc, and then there's MC1, who's Osage. And so he's taken all of us and kind of like we've been recording like crazy, you know, like we got a project ready to go, and we're looking to make like a documentary, you know, hopefully, and putting it out maybe on Netflix or, you know, some platform like that. And then our music is going to be the soundtrack to that documentary, you know, and so it's going to be like a really great move, you know, for us and for myself.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, that's good. That's good to hear that. Yeah, that's big news. What, so you've been going hard now for, you know, the better part of a decade. What would you say is the biggest surprise of your career so far, positive and negative?
Biggest surprise got to be that one, you know, the positive of winning the VMA, you know, like if you would have asked me this like last year, I wouldn't have even thought that I would be going to the VMAs, let alone taking one home, you know. I wouldn't even have been thinking of it. So that was a huge surprise and a blessing so far. And also it's just the love, you know, that I'm constantly been shown, you know, all over the world, and just people being affected by the music that I make, you know, like I'm constantly hearing people, you know, they hit me up in the inbox and say, hey man, you know, do you want to say I was about to kill myself, you know, and, you know, things like that, like the stories I told you guys before. I hear that, you know, like on the regular of people saying, you know, thank you for making music because I was like this, and now, you know, I trying to go in a positive way. So the effect is always a really positive thing that I enjoy, you know, in this career, and it continues to grow. Let's see, the negative part that comes with it is probably I love touring. You know, I love touring all these years, but now there's a part of me that just wants to be home, you know, with my family. Yeah. I value that more. Yeah. Like I used to value going and being in the public and performing, you know, and feeling that good vibe and energy from the people in the crowd. And now it's changed. It's the opposite. I mean, I truly do enjoy that still, of course. Yeah. But I just love being with my family more, you know, like staying home with my kids, you know, just being in their presence, because you never get that time back. You know, you'll never get that time back when you're away from them. And I believe that's the most important thing. I can honestly say, going to the VMAs and winning a VMA award, it was awesome seeing all the celebrities and being at the height of all of that Hollywood type of image, you know, like just seeing it and being a part of it is pretty dope. You know, it's awesome. But it's like, it's nothing compared to being, you know, the love of your family and the love of your wife and your kids is way beyond, you know, any kind of award or any kind of success, you know, in that way. Being truly successful is being a family man to me, you know, is having a wife and, you know, my kids with me and them being healthy and provided for. That's success right there.
Yeah, man, the simple things, just those simple things in life. Appreciate them more. Yeah.
We got a question from our jingle maker here and our resident musician in the crowd. He's wondering if you have any, he's got two questions. One is if you have any vocal warm-up secrets that you'd be willing to share with him. And the other is if you're aware of this current 432 hertz music trend, and if you have any thoughts on it.
Ooh.
Let's see. Vocal warm-ups. I'd say, man, I don't really do any. You know, I'll just usually perform like in my car before I'm getting to a gig. I'll slap on a beat and I'll like kick a verse out, and then I'll make sure my voice is like this and I sound raw, you know what I'm saying? You know, like that. And make sure it's like warmed up in a good place, you know, just doing a couple of verses, and I'm comfortable with that. And then, the 32 hertz or whatever. Yeah. I don't know the trend, but I know I've gone to YouTube and I've seen these sounds that have healing. You know, certain sounds bring healing. certain frequencies bring peace, and like things like that. And even just in myself, I'm seeing that as a musician, I was like, I want to make music with that kind of frequency, like just make some beats with that frequency, and just all the more power, to that vibe of healing.
Yeah. Awesome.
I think that's part of the trick of it too, is that, I mean, we even went on that podcast where Buddy was recording all his shows in 432 hertz because it's some ancient resonance that's been, whether by design or by accident, has been kind of switched up for the ease of technology.
Yeah. Yeah. So what was your experience like at Standing Rock? Were you there and through all that, or some of that at least as well? Or?
Yeah. I went over there 4 different times just to see it. I took my family the first time, and man, it was awesome because you saw the momentum, start to grow and grow. And I've been going to Standing Rock for years, like back in the day, like I would always get invited over, to do their youth conference and do different shows over there. And so it was kind of close to my heart, those people, because I've been there before working with their youth, over time. And just to see that movement, start from the youth. The youth is they're the ones that started that movement. They ran to DC and they had this vision, and they're the ones that created that whole vision. And that's what we did too. We also gave them props. Like, yeah, we won a VMA and all that, but really they won it. Like they're the reason why we got that. Like that award. It's really their award. Like they started that movement. And so, yeah, we went over there, took my family, just driving into camp, seeing all the different cultures and how the whole world came together, different cultures, not just native and not just tribes, like enemies came, like we're Crows, Apsalaga and they're Lakotas. So our tribe went and took like 700, or like, I don't know, like 700 pounds of buffalo, or they took all this water, like we went over there and smoked a pipe with them too. Our leaders, our chairman, smoked a pipe with their chairman, their leader, the 2 chiefs. They smoked a pipe together, and that hasn't happened, in a long time.
Wow.
So that was really powerful, just that in itself, and just to see and feel like when you go to that camp, you could feel the love and the strong medicine, that was there, because people were just selfless over there. They're just always serving one another, and it was good times. You look on this side, people are having a peyote meeting. You look on this side, you can hear some round dance music. Over here, they're having some kind of, powwow, or, there's just different kinds of cultures going on all over that camp. And it was amazing to see and just to feel.
Right on.
Before we start to wrap it up, we probably got a whack of new listeners since our last chat for sure. I was wondering if you just want to kind of take a few minutes, and if you had just anything that we haven't addressed here in the interview so far that you want to get out to all the ears, because there's a huge demographic of our audience. I mean, just due to the technology of it, that is kind of in that coming of age group of, say, 18 to 30, I would say is our biggest demo. So I was just wondering if you have anything to sort of say to them.
Yeah, just to say anybody, just in life in general, like we're all privileged, to be on this earth at this time, like when I walk through the streets, I don't see everybody as strangers, like I don't know them. Like those are my brothers and sisters that I get to experience, this time on this earth, right now is like, we're all here together, like when you have that kind of perspective, and know how short, this life is, like all the things that we focus on, there's plenty of causes to fight for. There's plenty of things to, stand up for and speak out against and highlight, and injustices and all of that. To me, when it all comes down to it, is just that love, like I think if we all grasp the reality of how short, this life is on earth, we'd love our families more, we'd love each other more, be more kind, and we let a lot of things go that really we value that really don't have any value. You know what I mean? It's like the things that we value, like there's a quote that I always say, our biggest fear shouldn't be of failure. It should be at succeeding in life at things that don't matter. You know, our biggest fear in life shouldn't be a failure. It should be at succeeding in life at things that don't matter, you know? So I think just looking at life itself and how short it is will give us a different perspective on the things that really matter, you know, in life, which is the love of our families, time spent with our children, and doing things that are, you know, to help people, serving one another. I think when it all comes down to it, that's probably the most important thing that I could say to anybody, you know, is get that perspective on life, because it's just here today, gone tomorrow, you know. And when you see your relatives and your loved ones and they pass away and you see them laying there, that's what you want. You wish you had more time with them, you know, to tell them that you love them, or, you know, you just wanted to spend that few more laughs with them, you know. And I think that those simple things like that are the most important. You didn't think about how much the person, you know, owed you money, or, you know, like their ambitions or successes, or, you know, we don't really think of those things. We just think of time spent, you know, with one another.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah, that's pretty good message. No one can argue with that, no matter what culture they're from, I don't think.
Yeah.
Do you have a website, or where's the best place for our listeners to track you down if they're just hearing about you for the first time? Can I still play one of your songs at the end of the thing, or will it get flagged as a copyright?
Yeah, you probably could. Yeah, definitely.
I'll give it a whirl for sure. Yeah.
It might get flagged on.
Yeah, you bet. But
I'll email him and say Christian said it's okay.
Yeah, for sure. I'll send you the email back saying, yeah, it's all good. But Supaman, you just Google Supaman, Supaman. All my stuff usually comes up. Or you can go at Supaman Hip Hop on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. I think it's /GreasyFace.
Nice.
Oh yeah, I know. My kids are always getting a kick out of the Instagram, so there's a lot of cool stuff on the Instagram. I watched the Rubik's Cube video the other day.
Yeah, it's dope.
Well, thanks a lot.
I guess that's about it. Do you have any questions before we wrap up, Jared?
No, I'm good, man.
Nope.
It's been super interesting, though.
Sounds good, man.
Yeah, thanks for your thoughtful answers. It's really good to chat again. And, you know, maybe if you do come out with that documentary and all that, maybe we should just either have you back on or at least let us know so we can plug it for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. Is it cool if I plug my new album, or the new album that just came out this year in January? So it's called Illuminatives. Anybody out there want some good music? It's dope, man. I got Northern Cree on there. Got my Mona Yosef, who was just on Sway in the Morning, Passionate MC, Wake Cell. A lot of great artists on this album called Illuminated. So check that out. It's on all social or all media outlets, iTunes. You can order it from me, my website, CDs, and all that good stuff.
Which one do you think? Which one should I play out the episode with? Do you think off that album?
Maybe you could play Somewhere featuring Northern Cree or Godly Warriors. Those ones are nominated for the award, Godly Warriors, featuring Passionate MC. Yep.
Okay, and we did have one last question before we let you go from our in-house producer here, Brody, who also is a vocalist in his own right. He was asking how you came up with your name, Supaman.
Yeah, it's a question that I get asked a lot. I was actually heading to a DJ battle when I was a DJ, and I didn't have a DJ name. And so me and my friend were just like, he was like, we're almost there. You need a new name, bro. You know, like, come up with something. You know, I was going by DJ Chris. which is pretty weak. So he's like, just use it. he's like, use the comic book character, bro. Just come up with a comic book character, you know. And he's like going through the list of the Punisher, Green, you know, just different names. And finally we were almost there. He's like, just use Superman, you know, just use Superman, you know, like Red Man, Method Man. You can just use Superman, you know. And I was like, all right. And he said, especially it's kind of off the wall, you know. People will be like, who's this guy using Superman? Who does he think he is? You know, and they'll be kind of drawn towards that name. And so I used that name in that DJ battle, and I ended up winning that battle. And it was kind of in the paper and then on TV.
Oh, there you go.
And so I was like, oh, got a little promotion from it, so I just kept it.
Yeah, you can't after that. Yeah. After winning that, you got to keep it. Yeah, that's awesome.
That's pretty funny because that's really not too far off from how Grimerica came to be. Just kind of slapped together last minute. We need a name. Holy
yeah.
Right on, Chris. Well, thanks for coming on the show. We'll definitely keep in touch, and we'll have you back if that documentary comes out, or either way, we'll have you back on in a couple of years and figure out where you're at. We'll touch base. And if you've got my number, so if you're coming to Alberta or BC or any place close by, definitely shoot me a text because we don't mind driving a few hours to come and take in a show.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. We'll do it.
All right,
right
buddy.
on. Drive safe.
Thanks.
Okay, brothers. Have a good night.
Okay, take care.
Peace.
That was a chat with Supaman, number 2. That was a great one.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I love how thoughtful his answers are. You can throw any question at him, and he actually comes at it from a very genuine, thoughtful place. You know, you don't get that.
It comes through every time.
You don't get that with all the guests, right? A lot of people are stuck in their sort of like their whole, they've got their paradigm. Spiel, like they've got their spiel, right? He just comes up with
it definitely
very
happens
genuine
a lot.
answers. You know.
It's
Yep.
Oh, hang on a sec, buddy. All right.
There we go. So yeah, it's nice because you definitely do get a bunch of people that are kind of stuck in their spiel, and it's hard to get them off. And it's nice to have that. Where he's really
very genuine too,
thinking about those answers before he talks to you, and it's not a pre-programmed response.
That's kind of what I was getting at. Yeah.
We're probably a different interview for him too, I would imagine.
Probably, yeah. But I mean, because he could just. You know, he's probably getting up there in that fame now, especially after that thing where he's probably gonna end up being a little more pre-programmed in a way in the next few years. So it's good to
he's going establishment.
Couple gems, yeah. Well, we've already gone.
He's going Illuminative.
Yeah, we've already gone establishment here in Grimerica. So,
congratulations.
Yeah, we're corporatized now. I
was gonna ask him if he's got the tap on the shoulder, if he's been approached by the Illuminati to send a special message through his hip.
Oh, we should establish a code now of how we're going to let our listeners know when we get tapped on the shoulder.
Oh, we should do that. Yeah, the little code.
We'll think of something. Email us.
That'd be like her. Did you say safe word?
Yeah. Email Graham.
It's gonna be pineapples.
Email us in some ideas for a phrase we can say on the show that you guys will know we've been compromised, but we don't get shot.
But shouldn't there be one that we've been at? Like, not that we're compromised.
I saw 3 owls
thinking about it. Like we're asked.
It's just me being here. You've been compromised.
Yeah, that's.
Are you the new handler?
He's the new handler.
Yes,
just showed up. I thought about it. He's kind of, he could be like intelligent.
We go through
tall, handsome
He's traveling
guy,
all the time.
He's traveling all the time.
MI5.
He's dropping off a bug in the studio right now.
We go through so many handlers. They just can't handle us. It's like, these guys are dorks, man. I'm not fucking hanging around. Bingo bango.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was fun.
Yep. So do check out all of Supaman's work. It's there's a bunch of great songs. We'll have some links in the show notes. Check out the first episode. I think it's grimerica.ca/EP137 or something. I know it's episode 137. There's a couple tracks on there.
It'll be in the show notes too.
Yeah, there's a couple of tracks on there, and there'll be some tracks in this one. So check that out. While you're surfing around the interwebs, check out the support page, grimerica.ca/support, and support the platform that allows us to interview everyone from authors to theorists to conspiracy theorists to academics to hip-hop artists and not have to fucking answer to anyone or clear it with anyone other than you guys.
Well, and you know what? And not for him to have to finish up an answer super quick because there's a commercial break.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
I mean, we can just have these chats without worrying about any interruption and go as long as we absolutely want. And we're willing to do that, and it's good because we kind of leave it up to the guests as well. So, but we can only do that with your support.
So support us, please. Yeah. If you're getting some value from the show, this number, I don't know, 283 or something like that. If you're loving it, send some love our way. Grimerica.ca/support. A bunch of different options there. If you can't do that, check out all the ways in the show notes you can support us that don't cost you any money. I think that's about it. Big thanks to Brody. Thanks for coming out.
Thanks for having me, guys.
See you, buddy.
Help me see where the magic's made. Yeah,
right on.
That's it. It's pretty fucking anticlimactic. All right, guys. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next week.
And now I babble at Ibale Bilachbagu, and that a weapons again, Jigatala, Dagula, Dagwa, the Shiptala, Diluk, the Lock, Oak Chiptala, Age Bilachbage, Bush Jadek, Bachusala, Age Bilachbage, Oak Chiptala, Diluk, the Lock, Koesala, Bile Aje, Babem Balagur, Ibilachbaguk, Upsaluga, Age Bilachbage, Bajok Chiptala, Bilesh Bila. What I got it.
I'm just saying, hip-hop is a very sophisticated, multifaceted subculture that speaks to all different types of people. Music, the fashions, the attitudes, the beefs. The more I read, the more I listened, the more I felt connected to its rich cultural tapestry.
Ladies award, God the warriors. Everything we spit be hot. On the grill, get 'em. The mark comes equipped for warfare. Beware. What's your definition of a real estate? What's your definition of a real estate? What's your definition of a real estate? I draw first blood, be the first to set it on.
Hey yo, with every breath I'm taking, I'm repping the reservation, demonstrating the revelation, praying and meditating for blessings and restoration until the detonation and devastation, until the heavens my destination. I'm levitating till my head is aching, to the death of Satan, until we see the mess we're making. It's a desecration. I bless the nation with dedication. We soon to see 7th generation, no segregation is unity. Communities rise up, live what the takeover, make soldiers and young boys who stay sober. Flamethrowers, it's game over. Since my first inception, you get murdered second. Learn your lessons, worth of weapons. I first for heaven, the church is stressing. Your crew are hated, never cut your reverend. The perfect essence illuminated. I first for heaven, the church is stressing. Your crew are hated, never cut your reverend. The perfect essence illuminated.
Ladies award, God the warriors. Everything we spit be hot. On the grill, get 'em. The mark comes equipped for warfare. Beware. What's your definition of a real estate? What's your definition of a real estate? What's your definition of a real estate?
Yeah. I draw first blood, be the first to set it off. Yo, what you're hearing are the seeds of the evilness planted by the Europeans who landed within this region in the language they were speaking with. Columbus would have turned his boats around if he could known how it could lead to this. They were calling the savages for a reason, a legion of master assassins within the leaves of the trees. When all the pale faces were off coast, soft snow melted by short tempers with long bows. Every shot directed with the art of a marksman's etiquette, unlocked by subconscious predator-like archetype darkness precedent. If you need advice or tip through your hearts, consider it. It's the man that's seeking chief, leading and defeating his weak demons with the freedom of speech of each season. The beast Superman beat screaming, be godly warriors going up against all odds till we evil.
Ladies award, God the warriors. Everything we spit be hot. On the grill, get 'em. The mark comes equipped for warfare. Beware. What's your definition of a real estate? What's your definition of a real estate? What's your definition of a real estate? I draw first blood, be the first to set it off.